Hello, students. Welcome back. So, in this session, we are going to be covering dictionary. These are mapping type containers. These actually hold key value pair type of data. So, this is the general expression of your dictionary. This is how a dictionary looks like. It starts with the curly braces right here and ends with the curly braces. And in between your curly braces, you're going to see data like key one colon value one comma key two colon value two key three colon value two. This is how your data will look like. By the way, your keys in this case, it can be string, it can be integer, it can be float, it can be any one of these types. Your values, on the other hand, they can be also be like integer, string, boolean, dictionary, list, tuple. It can be any of these types. Dictionary, by the way, they are mutable. In other words, they can change. You can actually modify the elements inside that. So let's understand this through an example. So let's try to create and access few dictionaries. So let's say you have student scores. So I'm creating a dictionary like right here. Okay, as you can see in my curly braces. By the way, this curly braces is similar, same concept as your set, except like over here, I'm also using key colon. I'm using colon over here. So in this case, Ram scored 85, Carlos scored 92, Roman scored 78. So this is my key and this is my value. This is my key, this is my value, and this is my key, this is my value. So these are my keys and these are my values over here. So I print my student scores, and as you can see, it prints out my dictionary right here. I also print out the type, like what type it is, and it prints out right there DICT, which is short for dictionary. Okay, so I can also create dictionary using a different style. So in this case, I have a list. And this list actually contains a tuple. So in this tuple, I have two elements. You have keys right here and then the value. Keys, value, keys, value. So this data is exactly same as this data right here. So you can actually create this dictionary by calling DICT function, which is short for dictionary. Dictionary on the L, which is this list right here. And when you run this cell, you're gonna see I print student scores. It prints out my student scores right there, and I also print out my type just to confirm that. And look at that, it is dictionary. So this dictionary is exactly same as this dictionary. The data is exactly same, although the structure is a little different. Okay, but the data is exactly same. So this is another way you can create a dictionary. There's another way, style number three. So a lot of time you get your data in the form of a list. So let's say all your names are given to you in a list. This could be a very giant list right here. Same thing with your score. Score is given to you in a different list right here. So now let's say you want to combine these two lists together. Well, you can use zip right here. So call this function called zip and then call dictionary on top of that. And that's going to create a list. It's going to create a dictionary with my keys in this list and my values from this list. So when I run this, it actually prints out my dictionary right here. Okay, so these are three different very common ways of creating a dictionary. By the way, in this particular demonstration purpose, I'm only showing three keys and three values. Real life, you're gonna have like maybe anywhere between hundreds to thousands to millions to billions of records. So this is just to show you and explain you the concept of dictionary. All right. By the way, on a side note, your keys, these keys, they don't have to be string. They can be integer. So in this case, I'm using integer. So let's say my keys are employee ID. So employee ID 5623, his age is 85. So my values in this case is age. Employee ID 5612, his age is 92. Employee ID 5634, his age is 78. And I print my employee over here. And as you can see, it prints out my dictionary right there. Okay. Maybe I want to see all the inbuilt methods of dictionary. So this is my dictionary. I want to see what are the different methods available in the dictionary. Well, I can use this command called dir. So what dir does is going to take the argument of a object or of a certain Python object. It's going to give you all the information about what type of inbuilt method is available inside that class. So for the most part, these are the important ones, the last ones, the one without the underscore, not the one with underscore, but the one without the underscore. These ones, these are the for the most part important ones. So let's focus on few of the very common ones. So let's say you want to access values using keys. Okay, so this is my student score right here, same student scores as the above dictionary. And let's say I want to access the score of Surinder. Okay, so in this case, you access the value using a square bracket, and inside the square bracket, you specify your key. So my key is Surinder right here. So when I run this, it prints out Surinder's score. So Surinder's score is 85 right here. Now, how about if I try to print a score of a student that does not exist? For example, Tom. Tom is not present over here, right? So if I try to access that record, it's going to throw an error at me because it prints out the Surrender, but when it comes to Tom, it throws an error and I get this message, key error. And that's because Tom is not present inside the student score. So this is a problem with it. This is a minor problem with your dictionary. Well, you can solve this thing. We can use actually inbuilt method called get. And what get does, it actually handles this key error very gracefully. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to access, okay? I'm trying to get the information or the value for Surrender, okay? So Surrender age is 85. I want that age. Sorry, score is 85, so I want his score. And it prints out my Surrender score 85. Now look at that. Now I'm trying to access Tom's value. And when I try to access Tom, although he's not present, this time I get a message none. So this way now you can handle these values that are not present in this in the dictionary gracefully. So this is a pretty cool pretty nifty way to actually handle keys that are not present. Let's say you want to check for a key or a value. So let's say you want to you say, hey, show me all the keys and all the values. You just want the keys. You don't, or you just want the values separately. You can do that too. There's an inbuilt method called dot keys. So this is my student. Oh, sorry, this is my student score right here, and I'm invoking inbuilt method, and I'm printing my keys over here, and it prints out my keys. Okay, right here. Same thing. There is an inbuilt method dot values, and for student score, so I'm printing my values over here and it prints out my values right here. Uh, so one of the application of this is maybe you want to check for a key. So you want to check like is a student data is stored inside this student scores. So maybe you're looking for Tanner and you want to know, hey, do I have Tanner's information in there? So this is a pretty nifty trick. You can actually do this thing. If so, let's say my search name equal to Tanner. So you say if search name in student scores dot keys. Okay. So if this is present inside student scores dot keys, it's going to print this message. Otherwise, it's going to print is not found. When I run this, it says student Tanner score is available because Tanner is present. What about if I type change this to Eve? So come over here, maybe change it to Eve. And as you can see, Eve is not there. So if I run this and it gracefully now gives me the message that student Eve score is not found. Okay, because Steve, you can see Eve is not present inside this. Okay, maybe you also want to check for a value. So 85, 92, 78, you want to see that did anybody scored 78? Okay, so you can do that too. You can just do if search score in student scores dot values. Okay, I'm just using my values and I'm checking. So in this case, student score 78 is available. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So student score 78 is available because 78 is there. But what if you type something else? Maybe you just type 79 now. Okay, and when I run this thing, it's going to tell me student score 79 not found. So it went through all the values and it basically determined that, hey, this value is not there. So it print me this statement right here. Okay, so sometimes you may want to see both the keys and values in the form of a tuple. Okay, so here I want to see both keys and values. So in the way you access the both keys and values using items, there's an inbuilt method called dot items. So I'm calling my inbuilt method items, and then I'm printing my items right here. So I printed it and I print this value out items, and as you can see, it's prints out the items. It's almost like a dictionary items right here. These are my dictionary items. Okay. Okay, almost like in a tuple. Now you can iterate over a dictionary. So let's say you want to print each one of the records. Okay, you want to say maybe a more meaningful message like student Surinder scored 85, Surinder Bob scored 92. You want to print a message like that. You can do that too using this items right here. So I'm using my f string right here, and I'm saying student name scored score. Okay, so name comma score. What this is doing is iterating over through each one of these tuple and it's unpacking over here and the name and score is taking each values and this way I'm able to print each one of them out. So one of the application of this would be, let's say you want to count how many students they scored more than 80. That's, let's say your teacher comes to you or maybe you have a job and you have to determine how many people scored more than 80. Well, in this case you can see only two people scored more than 80. Well, let's create a little logic that actually helps us determine that. uh, so I initialize my count to be 0. And for name comma score in student scores dot items, okay, this is I'm iterating through the uh, both the keys and values. Okay, and then if my score is more than 80, okay, then count equal to increment the count by one. That's what I'm doing over there. So I'm just iterating over the whole items. Okay, and I'm just checking that value. If the count, if the score gets more than 80, I increment count, and at the end I print my count over here. As you can see, it prints out 2 over here. So this is one of the application of your items. So you can iterate over the items, and you can see if some if either a key is present or a value is present, or just do some of your own personal conditional if and else statement over there. Let's say you want to check how many elements are there in a dictionary. You can use this regular function called len, which is a short for length. When I run this, it's going to print 3 because this one has only 3 records, right? 1, 2, and 3. Okay, what if you want to add or modify dictionary entries? Well, you can do that too. So let's say this is my student scores, same students, okay? So the way you can actually modify a value is, actually, let me just come over here. Let me just comment this thing out, this, and run this. Okay, so here, Surinder is 85, Bob is 92, and Tanner is 78, right? So my student scores David is 88. So I'm changing David's score. Where's David? Actually, David is not there. So what's going to happen is it's going to add the David over there. So David is not present. It's going to add David and it's going to give him a score of 88. So when I run this, you can see that before I added, okay, Surinder, Bob, and Tanner are there, but I added David right this. Okay, so you can add a David. After adding the David, I print my adding, and look at that. It print out David right there. So David is at the end right here. So this way you can add a record. By the way, you can also modify. Okay, so let's say I want to modify Surendra's score. Surendra scored 85, but now I want to modify his score to 90. So let me just, this is the way to modify right here. Okay, I'm accessing Surendra's score, I'm modifying it, run this. And now if you come down over here, you can see Surendra's score has been modified to 90 right here. Okay, so what if you want to remove an entry or clear a whole dictionary? We can do that too. So let's say you want to remove an entry based on a key. So let's say you want to remove Bob, okay? For some reason, let's say Bob is no longer a student. You want to remove that. There is an inbuilt method called dot pop. And what pop is going to do is going to remove Bob from there. So I called in Bob, pop on that, and I print my student scores. And as you can see, Bob is no longer there. What if you want to remove all the entries and free memory space? Well, for that, there's an inbuilt method called clear. And what clear does, it's going to remove every single entry from here. So I was calling student scores dot clear, and then I print my student scores. And as you can see, it's empty list now. Everything is gone. So this kind of helps you free up space or memory on your dictionary. What if you want to merge two dictionaries? So you can do that too. So let's say you have two dictionaries. You have class A, Happy Solo. Okay, his score is 85. Solo score is 92. And class B, Yanni, Wayne, Zena. These are people in class B. And you want to merge these two dictionaries. You can do that too. So in this case, you come down and so there are two methods. One is basically update. So let's look at the update. So I create a new dictionary, merge scores equal to empty dictionary. I create my empty dictionary. That's the first thing I do. Then in my empty dictionary I put class A over there, and the way you update it by calling this inbuilt method called update with class A. Then I update my merged scores again with class B over here. Okay, so I updated my merge scores with both the class A and class B, which is these two classes, and then I print my merge scores. And as you can see, it print the whole class. Okay, both the classes are merged now. So this is one way. Another way is you can use this operator right here, this parallel lines, going vertical line straight over here. So in this case, you create a merge scores equal to class A, and then you call this merge operator and class B, and then print. You can just print your merge score, and this way it prints your merge score. So you have two different ways you can actually merge or combine two dictionaries. Thank you.